Welcome to a new video on Discover Your Gift channel. And this video, we're going to talk about the 6 roles that we have in society. So if you look society as a big community, or even you go to your town, to your city, there's a community of people right there. And every one of us has a specific role inside of this community, inside of this society. And it's something that you can learn. You can learn to understand what is your role in the community so you can embody it. Most of us are doing things that we are told to do. We are told to be this, be that, and we're comparing with each other. We all want to be leaders. We all want to, different things. But what we should be looking for is to be ourselves. And that's why we have Discover Your Gift, which is this channel where we learn what our purpose is, what we're doing here in this world, and how can we understand how we operate uniquely. This is something that you have to ingrain in yourself, and it's that you are unique. You have a unique way of being, of operating in the world, and comparing yourself to others is going to be driving you to a lot of unfulfillment and frustration because you have a unique way. You have a unique way of doing things. So you should learn what is your way and then also embodying it, also accepting it, and also taking it and doing something with that. Okay. So when I talk about roles, you have to understand there's different roles, right? There's the role of the teacher, there's the role of the student, there's the role of the connector. There's someone that really is good with relationships and really holds a lot of contacts, and he can create like a party and everyone comes, right? There's also the role of the one that is a nerd and investigates and knows everything about one topic. That's another type of role. There's also this person that everyone calls whenever they have a problem, they're going through something, they will always call this person, right? This maybe resonates with you. Like people are calling you to talk about their things and they are asking for advice. That's another type of role. We have another type of role of someone that is always trying new things, is always kind of, falling and then coming back again to life. Well, this is another type of role. Well, if we could take all of the roles that exist in this life, we could actually nail them down to 6. And this is something that comes from the ancient I Ching from China, which is a tool that I explain a lot in this channel. The I Ching from China works with 64 numbers. 64 is also a number that I always talk about because we have 64 gifts. Remember, we are in Discover Your Gift. Actually, you have 64 gifts that you can unlock and you can, practice. Specifically for you, there's going to be less, but you can actually tap into all of them. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen right now so you can see what I'm talking about. The I Ching, if we look at the internet, is always going to work with some type of figures that have 6 lines. As you can see here, these all are 6-line figures. I can go to here. As you can see, there's these kind of forms that you may be thinking, what is this? Well, don't worry. It's not something that you have to learn, but you can see there are different types of combinations of lines. Okay. And what is interesting is that we have 64 and if I go here, we have 6 lines. So if I count the lines that any hexagram has, it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, this actually is a way of thinking that is 6-digit way of thinking. We as human beings are operating from a duality point of view, 0 and 1. Like this is white or this is black. Right? I do this or I don't do this. I go out with you or I don't go out with you, right? This is a way of thinking, which is very dualistic. It always, I'm against you or I'm with you. We see that in all society, right? I'm pro this party of politics or I'm against. I'm left or I'm right. I am a supporter of this team or I go against this team. In our society, we see a lot this duality, right? There's always this black and white, and we haven't learned that there can be an in between. This is something that you learn through your life, is that there can be some gray. Okay. And you don't always have to choose between one side or the other. You can have both. And this is something that really is hard for people to grasp. But yes, you can have both ends, right? But this is a way of thinking that we can evolve from. And the ancient Chinese knew about this. Okay. They knew that there was a way of thinking that could actually have six possibilities. So here we have six numbers instead of two, which you can already see that we go from two, a dual, way of thinking to a six way of thinking, which is a expansion of your consciousness. The way that you think is going to have an expansive effect, because now you're not just thinking on white and blank, you're thinking on a six frame. That's why this is hard to grasp at the beginning, but it's something that we teach in the program of Discover Your Gift. It's something that we explain really thoroughly, and you'll need a little bit of time to contemplate. But you'll start to see that you start expanding. And the way that I like to talk about it is like this, like a story. And today we were talking about the six roles that there are in society. And why I want to make this video, because it's important to really embrace your role. Let's start with myself, for example. What is the role of Bruno? The role of Bruno is to be a teacher, okay? And that's actually the sixth line, the teacher. So these people, I will come back to this number at the end, because actually I should be explaining the first number and not go the six, but this is my case. I'm someone that has experienced some things, and through that experience, I've learned different things that I embody in my way of being, okay? And then I can teach them. Why? Not because I know them, because I've lived them. So that's the characteristics of the role of the six, is to be a teacher, to be an embodied teacher. This is very important, because yes, we can be a teacher, but without embodiment. So now you can see that the sixth line has to work on that. Every role has something to, learn, because I could be teaching things that I've learned yesterday, right? And I haven't experienced, and I haven't, practiced. And that would be not in integrity with me. So this is something that the six lines have to work on. They have to work also on patience, because to be able to get into that embodied teacher, you need years. So many six lines want to do things right now, but they have to really understand patience and really, wait for their time, because they need years to master, to experience, to embody. This is not something that you do in 1 week. Embodiment is like a very deep word, and, it takes time. Anyways, that's my role, my wife as well. That's why we have both brands. We have Brad and Lola, where we teach long-term couples how to, keep the spark alive before it fades. And connection and intimacy code we have created. So relationships can have a vibrant relationship and can keep the spark over the years, and that you need to work on different things. But at the end, it's educational, right? So let's start with the first line, because you may be thinking, okay, let's start with the first one. The first line is called the investigator. So maybe what I want you to practice right now is like, okay, let's go over the sixth line and which one is for you. Like, which one does it resonate more with you? And of course, inside of the program, Discover Your Gift, you'll actually learn which is yours. Right now, I'm just putting you that awareness that there's these six rows that you can actually embody. And for sure, you're going to be attracted to one of them, right? Actually, you have two of them, okay? But this is a deeper thing. Actually, there's two of these six rows that you have in yourself. But this is something that we go deeper into in the program. So the first line is the investigator. You already know what an investigator is. It's someone that really likes to, read, investigate, look at the data, the information. The first line is looking for security, is looking for safety, is looking for truth. I'm going to say here. So this person really has to embody that, yes, he likes to read. He has to take time to read. He has to take time to investigate. He really has to go deep into one topic. Let's say, for example, that you're a first line. Actually, myself, I attract a lot of first lines because they really like my knowledge and my wisdom, and they really want to learn from me. So I'm someone that really attracts people that want to learn. So I do really attract this type of role because they want to learn. and they can learn from me. So this is your role. Your role is to get deep into, let's say, for example, you want to learn astrology, you want to learn numerology, you want to learn Chinese medicine, you want to learn specific practitioner, you want to learn about how to build houses. You're someone that is meant to go deep into that topic, to really, get down to all the details, all the information. Because when someone wants to learn, when someone wants to know about a specific thing, about that thing that you learned, you're going to be the person that really explains, and really gives the information. And this is something that is not a teacher. So what I want to say, this is not meant for you to be teaching, is more for you to be sharing all the information for when someone asks you, you have that data. People can access the information that they need. But remember, it's information. Okay? Also, this is meant for you to create something new. It's to, with that area of knowledge, really, create something new. Okay? That's the first line. Let's move into the second line. The second line, the role is called the hermit and the dancer. And these are an archetype. This is a type of role where you like to be alone, right? You like to be definitely alone. Why? Because you want to craft, you want to develop your skills. It's called a dancer because for sure you're gonna like dancing, okay? And you are someone that is really good at learning fast, and you may start a new thing and you already know how to do it very fast. That's the power of the second line. It's to be very quick and very good at things, even though you don't notice. Okay. One of the things that the second line has to work on is on feedback, because you're going to be natural at so many things that you may not know what you're good at. And some second lines are really lost sometimes in life because they are natural at so many things that they get lost on, okay, what should I do with my life? Because the naturality is so ingrained and so embodied that it's sometimes unconscious to them. So it's really good to hear what people say that you do well, really hear those feedbacks, and really channel your life into what you hear people saying that feels genuine, right? Don't follow something that people say, that doesn't go to your heart. The first line, on the other end, the things that he has to work on is trusting his intuition, because the first line is always want to know more, and sometimes they will never start that business, right? They want to learn more certifications. They want to learn more. And when are they going to be prepared for, teaching or giving that product away? Well, this is something that they have to work on, that they sometimes already know. They don't have to study more. The dancer, on the other end, he might have this problem of not knowing where to go, okay? And then we go to the third line. The third line has the role of the martyr, which is a word that sounds a little bit rough because it's meant to die and relief. You die, which means you fall, and then you wake and you stand up again. So the third line has a role which is about experimenting, right? This role of the first line is really to study things, to get informed, right? To know all the details. The second line is to be this person that, is very natural at many things, and he has to focus his time alone. That's why it's called a hermit, to really develop all those skills that he has. The third line, on the other end, is different from these two first lines, because the third line, which is another role, which is the martyr, is about experimenting. Let's say nobody has tried this. I'm going to try it. Or they are telling me not to do this. Well, I'm going to be the one that really goes after that, right? And I'm going to experiment with all of these things. Well, that's the role of the third line. And if you have that, it's about, I'm going to do something that maybe nobody has done. And you are the one to really go about it, learn all the mistakes about that process, and then teach us what you've learned through the process. Because let's say, for example, that you're a business owner in a specific industry and you've tried everything. When I say everything, you've gone through all the mistakes, all the failures, but you're very resilient. That's one of the characteristics of this role. You're very resilient and you've learned all the things. So when someone wants to go through the same process, you already know what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. So when you're building a business, for example, it should be really focused on really taking your journey and really finding all those things that you did wrong so people don't do them, right? Okay, as you can see, these first three roles from the six are very personal. That's one of the characteristics. They are very, personal. I'm going to check something here. Mm. Mm. Okay. And these are called personal lines. That means that they have to do with yourself. It's very much about yourself. Okay. As you can see, the first line is about him knowing stuff. The second line is about he, developing his craft, his talents, natural talents. And the third line is about him, experimenting. Now we're going to come to three lines that have to do with other people. That's why they are called transpersonal. And that's another characteristics. And as you will see, it has to do a little bit, it's like a symmetry. Okay. Then we have something called the fourth role. And the fourth role is called the connector. It's also called the promoter. It's also called the networker. It's someone that really knows people. He knows how to connect. He knows how to nurture those connections, and he knows how to put people together. So the role of this person is to really invest on that, invest on relationships, invest on healing relationships as well, and knowing how to create a business around that, create a community or holding those events, whatever it is, has to do with relationships. As you can see, it's very different from the first three lines. Well, something that this person has to know is all the topic about relationships, because yes, he will go through different wounds like rejection, abandonment, treason. So one of the things that the fourth role has to learn is all these things about relationships and how to relate to each other. This is not unique to this role, is something that is very important for all the lines, but specifically for the fourth line because it has to do with connections, right? We will see, for example, that the second line wants to be alone. So it's not so much about connections, it's much about himself and crafting and developing his craft. The fifth role is called the heretic, but also is called the problem solver. So this person is really focused. The role of this person is to solve problems. And this is great for business. Let's say someone at the car, a mechanic, that would be a fifth line in the sense of my car is broken. I go to the mechanic and he fixes it. And then he returns to me the car. And when the car has a problem again, I will go back to the fifth line. Well, this is exactly what the fifth role is about solving people's problems. So you really want to get in tune with what people come to you for. Do they come for solving a specific type of problem? Well, that's what you should be focusing your energy on. If people come to you for advice, well, maybe you should start a consulting, a coaching business, because you're going to be very good at solving those types of problems. And then we come to the last role, which is the sixth line, which is all about the teacher, but is also called the role model, which is something that I was introducing before. The sixth line is interesting because it doesn't solve problems. It teaches you how you can solve those problems so you don't have to rely on him. That's one of the difference between the sixth line and the fifth line. So yes, of course, all of the lines can teach, but the sixth line holds something called embodiment. And this is not unique to the sixth line, but it's something that comes natural to the sixth role, which is this thing about he is walking the talk. right? He is not just teaching stuff that he doesn't he is not living. This is something that can happen to the fifth role, which is teaching stuff to solve people's problems, but he himself is not applying them. But that's one of the flaws of the fifth line that has to work. That's, as I said, every role has something to work on. Okay. Well, I'm going to do a recap, but I want you to really get down on which of these lines resonate with you. You're going to have two of them. And actually, you can have more depending on your birth date, on your chart. So this is something that we really go deep into the program, understanding your purpose. Really, this is very important to understand and apply, and really know how to apply it in your specific life. Because once you know this, it's going to be very clear what you're here to do. You see, different roles have different roles, right? So me personally, Bruno, has to focus on the teaching thing, really teaching, and really, teaching through experience. But let's say you're a third line. Well, you should be focusing on experimenting and then teaching others whatever they shouldn't do, because that will drive to failure, right? If you're a first line, well, you should focus a lot on studying and really going deep into a subject. If you're a fourth line, you should focus a lot on relationships. You should focus a lot on how to create, connections, events, some communities. That's your type of thing, right? So once you contemplate this and once you know them, and thanks to my guidance, you can really tap into your role, your purpose, your vocation. That's what we're here to help you uncover. So if you're ready, you can go to the link below and you'll find the program Discover Your Gift. Okay. And this is something that we focus a lot on. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments, and see you inside of the program.